recently saw a post on Reddit where a woman was talking about how she spent a few years away from work just because she wanted to take out more time to be a mom, really dedicate time to raising her kids. And now that she was ready to go back to the workplace, she wasn't really sure whether to mention that the time off, the number of years that she had taken off work was dedicated to motherhood, or whether to frame it as something else on her CV, or just leave it out completely. And to my surprise, there were several comments on that post with many people advising her to frame it as a sabbatical taken for personal project, anonymous, personal project, or to say that, she was off for personal reasons. Someone even said for personal and professional development. And I was just very shocked at how we are in 2025, almost 2026 actually, and it is still a taboo in some professional settings to mention motherhood. And that's why I thought to share from my perspective as a mom of two, the professional skills, 7 professional skills that I think mothers bring to the workplace by virtue of being mothers alone, not even their additional skills and expertise, but just by virtue of being moms, the kind of experience and skills that moms bring. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate your support and your presence. It makes me so glad. And if you're here for the first time as well, welcome. I remain Ola, your DEI bestie. And of course, we keep it real on this channel, exploring all things diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it is my sincere hope and wish that you always come off every video on this channel with more inspiration to co-create a more inclusive and equitable world. The very first professional skill that I would say moms bring to the workplace is multitasking and time management. Tell me about it. I saw a Facebook post recently about an athlete. I think her name was Stephanie Case. I'll include a photo of the post in this video. And she was climbing about 6,500 meters of a mountain and running through thousands of kilometers. And she took out time to breastfeed her 6-month-old baby along the way. I think she breastfed twice or thrice. I can't remember now. But it was so awesome, that photo of her biting into a watermelon, feeding her baby, breastfeeding her baby in the middle of such an arduous task, like a strenuous physical task. And it hit me. This is the routine of most moms. Moms by second nature are multitaskers and time managers. As a mom, you tend to always find yourself in a position where you're juggling 5, 6, 7, even more equally important and urgent tasks, and you want to deliver on all of them. A few days ago, I was pumping breast milk for my baby. I was trying to fix myself lunch as well. And then I was on a phone call with someone trying to schedule a vaccination appointment for my baby. And at some point, she heard the sound of the pumping machine and she went, "Oh, you're pumping." And I thought to myself, I wish you knew I was making myself lunch as well while talking to you. And that is the picture of a typical day for moms. Mothers always get an A++ when it comes to multitasking and time management. You can't beat us. And that brings me to the next skill, which is logistics and project management. Because there's no way you're juggling a lot that you don't get to develop these skills. I wonder if you've ever planned a chaotic birthday party or a chaotic family event. You find moms being the ones who are saddled with this most of the time. And we pull it off. We pull it off and pull it off well. Everyone has fun. Everyone does what they're supposed to do. Everyone is at the place where they're supposed to be. In terms of managing different activities like doctor's appointments, children's extracurricular activities, school activities, and everything in between, between, meal planning, meal prepping. Of course, there are amazing dads who do this as well. Hats off to them too. But we tend to see that moms have this under lock and key. They have this on lockdown, basically, doing this as second nature and just planning and getting their hands dirty, doing things that they ordinarily even haven't learned to do to make things work, to make everything work every day for their children and for their families in general. Hats off to mothers. The next skill that I would like to highlight, which moms bring to the workplace every day, is leadership and decision making, effective decision making. And we see moms in that position of being the number one role models for their kids because, data doesn't lie. Data tells us that moms spend more time with children around the world. And so many times, moms are actively role modeling, teaching their kids good behavior, trying to exemplify personal values that are worth emulating, and basically making decisions all day. Decisions on what their children wear, what their children eat, how their children show up, their children's general nutrition, really speaking to their children's teachers for children of school-going age, negotiating, making very critical decisions, and leading in very many ways. I think we need to keep giving mothers their flowers for the plethora of decisions, the millions of decisions that have to be made, especially about their children every day. That is really something worth noting. That is something worth celebrating. And that brings me to the next skill that I would like to highlight, the fourth skill, which is creativity. Moms always find themselves thinking on their feet. Your child is unwell, something is going wrong. How do you fix it? We always think about a gazillion ways to do things better, to do things faster. We're always thinking on our feet, constantly ruminating on how situations can work better. And that is a clear indication of developing innovation, developing creativity, which organizations and several professional settings really claim that they require in today's world. Today people often say that you innovate or you go home. And that's something that mothers do. Moms innovate. Moms are creative in handling their kids in the day-to-day arrangements of childcare and responsibility. Definitely, creativity is a muscle that moms are constantly building. The fifth professional skill that I would say moms naturally bring to the workplace is budgeting and financial planning. I'm sure the moms that are watching this video right now can relate to what I'm saying. We know what time it is when it comes to the financial status of several families. We're all trying to constantly stretch that dollar, stretch that cent, that pound, that euro. We're trying to make it go as far as possible and to meet every need within the family. Moms are pros at this. A lot of the tasks that moms take on in terms of budgeting, in terms of planning everything that the family has to engage in under the household budget. This takes a lot of skill and experience. We're constantly doing the permutations, trying to make it work, to ensure that we buy everything on the grocery list, that everything is in order, nobody's lacking anything, despite how limited finances can be within the family. And in today's world, we're dealing with inflation where today's price is not necessarily tomorrow's price, and everything is just expensive. Everything. Moms really bring that muscle, that financial management muscle to the table when it comes to running the household. And that's definitely one thing that goes over into the workplace. The sixth professional skill that I would like to highlight is emotional intelligence. Of course, with moms taking on all of these responsibilities, the project manager in the home, the planner, the health assistant, name it, moms tend to be tired and even cranky sometimes. But guess what? We show up regardless. We show up regardless of how we're feeling, even when you're not feeling like the most excited mother on earth, you still show up for your children regardless and try to give them the best version of yourself. And that is a masterclass in emotional intelligence. All the moms that I know, regardless of how they are feeling, try to show up at their best, try to manage their emotions, and ensure that that does not get in the way of their responsibility as moms. And I would say that this is an A+ skill that most moms tend to develop by virtue of just being moms. The final skill that I would like to highlight, which moms bring to the workplace, is communication, effective communication, and conflict resolution. Especially moms of multiples. Oh my God. I really give every mom their flowers in this regard, because you find mothers being the ones who are communicating to different people on behalf of their children and with their children's schools, their children's extracurricular activities, even among their children, really ensuring that they communicate what is expected, the family's values, separating fights between siblings, and ensuring that conflicts do not degenerate further. Mothers definitely have an A+ when it comes to that. And of course, when we go to the modern workplace, the workplace today, we do see the clear need for effective communication. Many times, conflicts in the workplace happen because of communication gaps and lack of understanding. And who best? Who best to bring those brilliant communication skills and conflict resolution skills into the workplace? Just by virtue of being mothers, mothers really sharpen this skill in looking after their children and in caring for their families. So it's really interesting that after doing all of this hard work and gaining all of these skills, mothers still are contemplating not including their motherhood experience, especially when they take years off to care for their children and to dedicate to being moms. It's really interesting that mothers who take out a few years to dedicate to this hard work of caring for kids and managing their home do not think that this is worth mentioning within their CV or their resume, because of society's judgments, because they don't want it to work against them in the workplace. And I'm really curious, what do you all think about this? Do you think that these skills make it really, really obvious for women to include this experience of taking time off to be moms in their CV? Or do you agree that it would lead to further judgment? Please let me know in the comment section below. As for me, I definitely think that these skills are so amazing that it is worth mentioning that you took out time to be a mom. I don't think it should be a taboo. I don't think there's anything shameful about that. I do think that it should be celebrated and highlighted, really, because it's a great job that keeps the world running. It ensures that we do have a future generation that we are proud of. I hope you've learned something and enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for dropping by. It means a lot to me, as always. See you in the next video.